And good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Dude, it's afternoon again.
Well,
You tried.
for most people, this would be considered morning.
Okay.
If you're unemployed like me, it's morning.
All right. Well, okay.
Yeah. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Carter again, and with me, unlike usual, Nick. How are you, Nick?
I'm hanging in there, Carter.
Working hard, hardly working?
What's the difference?
Yeah, that's how I feel, because I'm unemployed. I just want to keep emphasizing that. I'll send my headshot and resume to anyone, literally anyone.
So that person that's listening in from the Philippines.
Yep. Well, better get on a plane.
We're talking to you.
Yeah, that person. So, busy week today. Lots of crazy stuff. Even though we're only 2 days into the week, 3 if you count Sunday, we've had a very hectic couple of days. And I think, obviously, given our wheelhouse, we have to start with the obvious. Pokemon Go.
You gotta catch them all.
I'm getting there.
Nearly impossible.
Getting there. It's nearly impossible, depending on where you live and your ability to travel. But, so Thursday nights,
Is that what it was?
I think it was, yeah. So the madness started for our little friend circle, because I saw these posts that it had been released in Australia, so I kept refreshing the app page to see if it was here yet. And,
Yeah, I guess it was.
and then we were all hanging out at our friend Joe's house, and I'd just go, oh, F, Pokemon Go's out. And I don't think, 1 or 2 people might have known what I was talking about, and then everyone downloaded it. Every single person downloaded it, and now...
I didn't cave until about a day and a half later, but...
Nick was probably the last one
No,
to...
Kieran was the last.
Okay, Kieran, because he was downloading it when we all hung out Saturday to play it.
Yeah.
You downloaded it like a day after.
I think it was the day before. I was kind of hanging out, and I was like, we'll see what all the rage is about.
Yeah, and rage it is indeed.
Rage it is.
We have already, as friends, our friend circle of maybe 7 people at the most, we have all been doing Pokemon Go sessions. I thought it made us unique, but evidently not, because everyone's doing this.
And it's like, we don't live in a very large area.
Yeah,
it's a suburb.
It's a suburb
pretty
connected
suburb,
to a nice, modestly sized borough.
But there were people out at 11:30 at night, 5 different cars in the same spot that we were in.
Yeah.
At a public library.
Yeah. So
that's how you know this game.
So we've had 2 different safari sessions, so to speak. The first was we went down to the borough that we live by. It's sort of a little river town, pretty small, nice. There's a canal next to it. We just started walking the canal, catching Magikarp mostly. All right, and honestly, I really do hope they make it less than 250 candies to upgrade him. Because come on, I don't have that much time.
250?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's even more than that, to be honest with you. Well, look it up what we're talking.
We may or may not be playing as we're doing this
yeah,
podcast. See, this is the problem, though.
Okay, yes. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
The servers are always experiencing issues.
They clearly did not optimize this.
I'm not sure that they were ready for how popular it was.
Well, that too. But just in general, I do not think they had the skills to pay the bills when it comes to optimizing their tech. But for making an addicting and simple game, they very much succeeded.
Fair enough.
The victory of that first day for me was getting my favorite Pokemon, Slowpoke. This is how obsessive it got. All of a sudden, it pops up on our screen, and I just start screaming, F! An effing Slowpoke! In the middle of a public, people are out, people are at the bar, people are having a good time. Yeah. I'm making a spectacle of us over a digital pig? I don't know what you'd call Slowpoke.
No, Slowpoke is a weird bear monkey type. He's got the tail of a monkey,
yes.
Right? But he looks more like a bear.
Yeah, he looks like a bipedal bear. He has he's the platypus of the Pokemon. Just a little bit of
Psyduck. Psyduck looks more like a platypus than a duck.
Yeah, but he is yes, but at least his species, it's very clear their influences. This, it's a little bit of everything. I love Slowpoke. I love how dopey he looks, and I like that he fishes with his tail. He's my fave.
That's fair enough.
So I was like, all right, you 2 go left, we'll go right, me and Nick will go straight, and first person to found it, it was a victory. The second day, we went to our public library up next to a kid's playground, and, and there's also a police station there, so I was genuinely worried we were going to get arrested because they would have thought we were doping.
No.
But,
it's all the rage now. Man.
Yeah, there was like 15 other kids in separate groups because there was a Jigglypuff, and we were all hunting it down. Like, I'm just floored because this is, like, there really isn't that much of a game in the traditional sense here.
I agree. I think they have to move on from here, don't they? They have to keep adding some stuff, don't they?
Yeah. Well, they're already talking about adding trading, which will be big.
That would be good.
It'll end up being an open market, like, and it's going to be bananas. People will be paying each other for Pokemon and stuff. I'm almost dreading when it happens.
Paying each other?
I think that's going to happen. Like, someone will just become the best at this game and start selling their Pokemon to other people.
I don't know, man. That might ruin the amateur status of the game.
Yeah, it will. But we'll have fun up until then. So, yeah, they're talking about adding that. The biggest thing for me is I'd like them to add Pokemon battles outside of the gyms because I feel like that would really up the game a little bit.
that would be kind of cool too. Like if you're in a vicinity with your friends, you can battle your friends.
Because if you don't live close to a gym, this is just collecting them, which is fun. That's the funnest part of it for me, just because it's fun exploring and walking around.
It is, and I think that they've done really well to mix the GPS technology with the not antiquated, but the older original card game of Pokemon, and made it interactive in a way that it hasn't been before.
It feels like the inevitable evolution of Pokemon that none of us realized we wanted.
That's right.
You know, when Pokemon Stadium came out, everyone was all like, yes, finally, 3D Pokemon, this is what it's all building up to. Now I feel like this is what it was all building up to.
Yeah.
Like, actually going out there and exploring.
I agree.
And, to be honest, Nintendo, I hope you appreciate how much money you're going to end up making off of this. And, well, look at it this way. So, Nintendo might be having the worst year in their company's history. In terms of games, really, they're...
400 to evolve Magikarp?
Okay, he found the Magikarp. It takes 400 to evolve it to the giant dragon thing.
I'm just going to power it up now. I can't wait to evolve. I can't wait to evolve it now. No one has that kind of time.
Well, it's never going to be that strong, though. Literally, I love Magikarp's description is literally, this Pokemon is pathetic.
And where does it say that?
It says it in your Pokedex. We're talking about a video game series that one of its characters is a pile of cogs with eyes, and that's considered pathetic.
Yeah, that's true.
That says a lot. But, anyway. Nintendo is arguably having its worst year in terms of software. Pretty much the only game they really have coming out is Zelda Breath of the Wild. To the point where that was the only game they had playable at E3. Think about that. Think about how many games are brought to E3 every year, and the biggest video game company on the planet could only bring one. And even though that's happening, even though the Wii U is continuing to not sell, even though we're in this weird gap where we're just waiting to know what the hell the NX is, Nintendo has taken over the conversation because they made an app where you walk around and hang out with people.
It's crazy.
It's really a testament to how big a brand Pokemon is.
Big save.
It's a testament to how powerful nostalgia is.
Yeah.
It's a testament to how polished the Nintendo brand can be, even when it's not polished. And it's a testament to, how to bring communities together and create, make video games as a social experience. Because technically, you don't play together. It's not like multiplayer. You're not playing on the same screen. But just having that shared adventure.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, to be honest, for me, that's why this is the most Nintendo-y thing to come out in years. Because even if you're not playing multiplayer, it's a shared experience. Because you're talking about oh man, there was a Magikarp downtown in the sewers, or oh geez, do you have how many Rattatas have you gotten? Even when you're by yourself, a lone adventurer traveling this big scary world, you have a shared experience, and I think that's pretty darn cool, if you ask me.
Fair enough.
Anything to add?
Yeah, you know what I want to say though, it's about the experience, like you've been saying. But someone told me, I forget who it was recently, that said they're coming out with a wristband.
Oh yeah, that's for sale.
The game.
Yeah, the idea is you actually throw the Pokeballs. I'm ambivalent to it. I don't care.
But it also you don't even have to have the app open, and the wristband will alert you to Pokemon in your area. Doesn't that ruin the point of the game?
Well,
the point of the game is to go out and actually catch them all, not have some electronic bracelet tell you when you're near something.
I guess the argument
Pokemon.
would be for people who don't want to burn through their whole battery, it would be better. But also, yes, I do agree that it breaks the spirit of the game, but not necessarily the rules.
I remember what it used to be about the Pokemon.
Yeah, I remember when this was about Pokemon. You changed, man. Yeah, but yeah. So
other than that, I heard about that and I was like, I don't know. I feel like that kind of retracts from the game experience. But other than that,
yeah,
I think it's been pretty cool so far. And the servers have to stop experiencing.
Yeah, they really got to polish this thing. And also, I don't know. I just love anything that it gives you a chance to explore landmarks and stuff.
Fair enough.
Like I love we discovered a church in our town.
Hometown.
Yeah, that was built in 1720. It's older than the country that it lives in. I think that's pretty cool.
And it's kind of cool that, I don't know how the software, the technology works, but that Pokemon Go actually took the time to pick that out as a landmark and write a sentence or two about it. Even in such a small place. It's interesting.
Honestly, that might be my favorite part, the exploring and finding historic stuff, because I'm a big junkie for architecture and famous landmarks and stuff.
Fair enough.
And also, this gives me a chance to rub my privilege in all my friends' faces, because I traveled to New York, so I get way more Pokeballs than them.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm like the rich kid who just buys victory. I'm like Malfoy. I bought the Nimbus 2001, a thing we didn't know existed until the second book. Oh no, he has a slightly better thing than me. Feels good. Feels good. Makes me feel powerful.
Yeah.
And overcompensating.
All right.
All right. Moving on, because we've already spent 10 minutes on a freaking Pokemon game.
It was important.
It was important. I will concede that. The ESPYs.
ESPYs are Wednesday night. That's tomorrow.
Tomorrow or today, depending on when I get this up.
When we upload this.
Get this up.
So we're going to go through a couple of the categories. There are plenty of categories.
Hold on. Who's the host this year?
John Cena. Sorry.
So it's come to
Sorry, do that again. Ask me again.
No. No.
Come on.
I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not. Come on. I'm not.
John Cena!
Yeah, he did it anyway, folks. Which, it's a shame I'm getting a little tired of the meme, because I actually think he's a cool guy, and I like how WWE's essentially made him the Captain America, part meme.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, other than his growing meme popularity, how did John Cena get to host the ESPYs?
Well, because I think he's trying to branch off into other stuff. He was in Trainwreck. Everyone talks about LeBron James in that movie of whoa, LeBron can actually act. John Cena was the breakout star of that movie. I'm not going to spoil his role at all, because you should see it. I think the movie's alright. It's not the most profound film, but his role is hysterical, and go see it. Also, before we move on to the actual awards, I told you about the Scooby-Doo John Cena thing, right? So there have been multiple, I think there have been multiple, maybe just one, Scooby-Doo meets WWE. It's those straight-to
my
VHS.
sister was talking about this.
It's like those DVD ones where sometimes the monster's real, sometimes not. Yeah. It's like a extension of when they started doing Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island and those. Just I guess they don't put as much effort into it. Maybe. But anyway,
I never liked that one.
Yeah, really?
Zombie Island? No.
Well, all right. Save that discussion for later, because we gotta keep focused. But anyway, so I don't remember the context for this scene, but they're running down a mountain. The one side to the left is mountain, to the right is a steep drop off that would kill them. They're being chased by a boulder, rolling down the hill. Eventually, they come to a part where they're cut a dead end, and it's so they're trapped no matter what. This boulder's gonna crush them. All of a sudden, from the other side of the chasm, running out of the woods, is John Cena. And you just hear, John Cena! And he leaps across this impossible-to-jump gap, steps in front of them. This boulder that is at least 10 tons, stops it with his bare hands. Just stops it, lifts slightly, and tosses it over the side. Keep in mind, this isn't a part of the mystery. This isn't a clue, or they explain it later as he used holograms and he set up all of these things. No, this is just in Scooby-Doo's universe how strong John Cena is, canonically. He has superhuman strength in the Scooby-Doo universe.
John Cena, man.
And everyone treats it just as oh man, thanks John Cena. Not, You
like,
are a
what the heck just
demigod.
happened?
Yeah, he is a demigod. Nope, just, hey, thanks, John Cena.
Oh, man.
Sorry, I just needed to get that off my chest.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because not enough people know about that.
It's true. I didn't know about that.
Anyway, do you want to move on to the actual awards?
Yeah, we're going to pick out a couple of the categories here and get each other's opinion. We'll start with Best Male Athlete. I already know who Carter's going to pick, but the choices are Stephen Curry, Cam Newton, Bryce Harper, and LeBron James.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying who I'm going with. Bryce Harper, obviously.
Yeah.
LeBron James. Yeah, it's LeBron James. I'm not keeping that joke up. Yeah. I think it would have been Curry if he won. If he had finished, if he had ended on a championship, if he made the game-winning shot, if he got his team back, even after being down at the end of that game, I would say it'd be him.
So I'd have to disagree. I think that Stephen Curry was the male athlete of the year. However, I think LeBron James deserves credit in another category. Well, it'll come to
we'll
later.
Get to that.
But I think Stephen Curry just absolutely dismantling the NBA, leading his team to a record-breaking year.
But they only care about that if you win it all. Now it's just salad dressing on a bunch of leaves.
Well, with that attitude, they do. But you can care, Carter. You can break the trend.
I don't want
and
to,
you can care even though they didn't
feel like it.
Yeah, well, you're a LeBron fan, so that's why you don't feel like it. But I think that Stephen Curry's performance, while it may not have led them to a championship this season, has to be the best by a male athlete this year, in my opinion. As a whole, in the season overall.
I guess. Well, see, what they're probably going to end up doing is they'll probably end up doing what they frequently do with the Academy Awards, where they split who gets Best Director and who gets Best Film. And that's how they sort of like, well, we're struggling to decide which one we like, so we'll acknowledge this one while also awarding this one. Well, they'll probably give it to Curry and let LeBron get the award that's coming up.
And we have to think about this. This is not even taking into consideration Cam Newton, the quarterback of the Carolina Panthers.
I was a little hesitant at first, but then I'm like,
15-1.
Yeah, I'm like, at first I was kind of like, really? And then I'm like, yeah, he did have an amazing year. You just kind of forget about it because the championship was such a downer.
But then again, they didn't win the championship. However, that did not stop me from picking Stephen Curry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no like, Cam Newton had an incredible season. You just sort of forget about it because A, it was so long ago, and B, it just ended on such a downer note. Yeah. To the point where I genuinely felt bad because, he really carried that team this year. He ended up making a young, cool team. I feel bad. But, I don't know why Bryce Harper's there.
Well, he's got to be one of the best young MLB stars.
Is he the
He did have a very good year last year, so I guess the year maybe starts... So maybe it counts the end of last season and the beginning of this season.
There's no rhyme or reason to how they organize the years, is there?
Not particularly.
That's what I was worried about.
Next, Best Female Athlete. Not necessarily in my wheelhouse, but I already have a name picked out. The category, the nominees, I should say, are Breanna Stewart, Elena Delle Donne, Katie Ledecky, Simone Biles. And while I must admit, I only maybe know half of those names, doesn't it have to be Breanna Stewart? Breanna Stewart, Carter's looking at me like, who's Breanna Stewart here?
You can't prove that. We don't have a face cam.
That's right. Breanna Stewart is the forward for the UConn women's basketball team, who... Let me just read a little list here. 4-time NCAA champion.
Okay,
that's 4 years at UConn. 4-time NCAA tournament most outstanding player.
Okay.
2-time Wade Trophy winner, which goes to the best female college basketball player.
Okay.
In the United States. 3-time Naismith College Player of the Year.
Okay.
Essentially the same award. 3-time U.S. Basketball Women's Association National Player of the Year. The list goes on and on. She's a 3-time first-team All-American. She was the Gatorade National Player of the Year in 2012 before she came into it. She's won gold medals for the FIBA World Championships. She's won gold medals in the U16, U17, U18, and U19 World Championships.
It feels like she's running up the score.
She's running up the score. I just don't think there's any way you couldn't see Breanna Stewart as the best female athlete of the year.
Well, yeah.
Plus, she was born in Syracuse, New York.
I mean, granted, we're not familiar with all the names, and I think that if I may get on my SJW high horse, it is kind of annoying that we're, female sports are not as acknowledged as male sports.
It's true.
If I might be a filthy social justice warrior, or whatever the term is these days for people you don't like. Yeah, I guess it's really, 4-time champion. That's
number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft.
That's literally every single year you can go to college.
4 times most outstanding player in that term.
I mean,
I don't know if it gets any better than that.
I'll always be a cheerleader for Della Dome because she's really cool. I like her. I think she's awesome and a badass. But yeah, you're probably right. It's got to go to her.
All right.
Unless one of the other two saved a puppy from the fire.
That's true.
All right. Championship performance.
Best championship performance. And this is interesting.
Okay. You know what? I'm not going to go what you think I'm going to go with on this one. I'm being sincere.
Von Miller in the Super Bowl. Carly Lloyd in the Women's World Cup final last summer. Sidney Crosby in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Which we all know how we feel about that.
Yeah. Let's just ignore that one out, right?
And LeBron James in the NBA Finals.
I know you'd think I'd say LeBron, and I even said that they'll probably give it to LeBron as a consolation prize.
This is the award we were referring to.
But I would actually go with Von Miller. Hear me out.
Okay.
Because, let's face it, look, I'm a big Peyton Manning fan. I'm a Peyton Manning apologist. But him, and to a lesser extent that offense, played terribly.
Yeah, well, and
if Von Miller does not do what he does, they lose that game.
Right.
By a lot.
And Peyton Manning, I think the Broncos and the entire football world knew going down the stretch in that season, Peyton Manning just didn't have that same pep in his step.
Look, I
Clearly
really
didn't have the same arm strength as he had earlier in his career. Clearly.
Yeah. Look.
And so you're right.
It was very clear at that point his career was over.
The defense of Von Miller, especially in the Super Bowl, and defense of the Broncos, led by Von Miller, against a 15-1 regular season.
One of the best offenses in the league.
Right. And so
everyone knew they had to stop Von Miller, and he did it anyway.
Right.
He terrorized them. He scored points for his team. He was superhuman. It was a superhuman performance in a career defined by superhuman performances.
Fair enough.
Without him, they do not win that Super Bowl.
I respect that decision.
You need to be an especially incredible defensive player because, we talk about quarterbacks, we talk about running backs, we talk about receivers. Defense very is much a team thing where if you do not have the guys around you, you can't contribute. So it takes a superhuman individual on defense to do that much for your team. And I want to give it to Carly Lloyd just because I'm always much for the Stars and Stripes and the national glory on the international stage. But that Von Miller performance, that's the stuff legends are told of.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And my answer here, my nomination would have to go to LeBron James. It would because I can't.
What is that? Ooh, is that salt?
I have to respect. I have to respect LeBron James' performance in the NBA Finals, overcoming kind of what you just said about Von Miller.
Well, yeah, but
it's not that LeBron had an aging cast around him, but that LeBron James had to step up against one of the most potent offenses in the league, a team that set an unprecedented regular season record, had come back from 3-1 down in the Western Conference Finals, and it looked like they were going to get blown off the court early in that series.
what was going to be the most embarrassing finals outcome for LeBron in a career that's had a couple really unfortunate outcomes in the finals.
And he stepped up and I've already mentioned that I think Kyrie Irving was instrumental.
That's my thing. If Kyrie Irving hadn't made that three-pointer, I'd give it to LeBron. If LeBron had made that three, or someone else had made that three, I'd give it to LeBron.
I would still give it to LeBron James. While he wasn't spectacular in every single game of the NBA Finals, he was spectacular when they needed him to be.
He was spectacular. He was superhuman for 2 games in a row, and then he was he was great in another, and he was strong enough in another.
And I think that it is interesting. I think one of those two, Von Miller or LeBron James, will win this award. But Carly Lloyd's performance should not go unrecognized, as you mentioned.
I guess we're being slightly hypocritical, ranting about not hearing about female athletes when we're not giving it to the female.
Hat trick in the World Cup final to give the U.S. women's national team their second World Cup.
I mean,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say.
Was it second or the third World Cup?
Not sure, actually.
And so
there we go again.
We further our own stereotype.
Yeah. Hey, I think the new Ghostbusters movie looks good. That's my.
This is where we actually need a face cam so that people could see the emotion.
Just the look on my face.
Just the look on your face.
Oh wait. Yeah.
Now, so third
I guess
World
I do.
Cup. Excuse me. Third World Cup. As soon as I said it, it didn't sound right.
Yeah. My gut says Von Miller, but my heart says Carly, just because
Okay. And Sidney Crosby. We're not going to go.
I mean, Carly.
Notice how they said Stanley Cup playoffs because
they can't say finals.
He was brutal in the. Anyway, we can't.
But and I hope if Carly does get it, she does a speech about the wage thing. Because come on, guys, come on.
All right, we got 2 more to go. These are just a couple, as we mentioned. Best record-breaking performance of the year. Stephen Curry's single-season 3-pointers made. Gino Auriemma, most NCAA basketball titles in Division I history. That's not just women's. That's in history. With 11 now. 4 in a row. And Christian McCaffrey, the running back for Stanford.
Oh, this one's impossible.
The single-season NCAA football all-purpose yards record.
My gut wants to say Christian McCaffrey just because, think about some of the athletes. Think about some of the athletes we've had at the NCAA level just dominate. Reggie, OJ. For some reason I'm stuck on OJ. For God's goodness sake, Tim Tebow was an all-time scorer in college. So to be the cream of the crop in a field where there's the NFL level athletes are just head and shoulders above some other teams, but 11 titles, especially when you remember 4 of them have been in a row. I just especially in college where it's in women's college, in women's college sports they tend to stay long. It's not like men's basketball where you're getting new players every single year. But still, to constantly be prepared to overhaul your team every single year when you lose seniors, that, we can talk about championship teams, we can talk about, how to build a champion, but the Denver Broncos had, 4 years to build around Peyton Manning. This, Gino's had to rebuild a fraction of his team, at least a fraction every year. That's why I think I got to give it to him.
Interesting, it is interesting because as important as impressive as it is, somehow for me it falls third out of those 3.
Really,
I think Gino Auriemma's run as the UConn women's head basketball coach is pretty unprecedented. But as we mentioned, women's basketball not necessarily being the spectacle that its men's counterpart is, kind of goes slightly unnoticed. However, I think that Stephen Curry's single-season 3-pointers made has to.
This is just your way of saying you don't like the new Ghostbusters movie, isn't it?
It's not. It's not.
I'm gonna keep hammering
because Stephen Curry not only shattered his own record, but in doing so, has actually transformed the NBA and how it is played. Because when Stephen Curry began to make these threes in bunches a couple of years ago, the NBA was still kind of, you could still point to some similarities from like the game and how it was played from, back in the, whatever time period you want to choose.
Yeah.
The way that Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors have played basketball over the last 2 seasons in particular, and Stephen Curry leading that charge with how many three-pointers he's shooting, it's changed the dynamic of how the NBA works, in my opinion. And I think for that...
But he lost the championship, and that's my go-to.
But I think for that record-breaking performance and it leading to the NBA becoming almost a different type of league now, I think is pretty special.
You know what? I'm going to say it.
That Stephen Curry has...
I'm just going to say it. I think LeBron James helped change the game more. That now your 3 and 4 are lighter and they're faster and the game is wider.
I did hear, and this is a little off topic, and we're going to get to this.
Make Ben Simmons point guard.
And we're going to get, there's another theory on that. It was just too many off topics. Real quick off topic, we're going to talk about Tim Duncan in just a little bit. J.A. Adonde addressing Tim Duncan's retirement and his legacy on SportsCenter yesterday said that we are probably, as sports fans, not going to see NBA players stick around for 19 years as Tim Duncan did with the same organization, or 20 as Kobe Bryant did with the same organization. And part of that is because of LeBron, and most of that is because of LeBron James. And that in the middle of your career, you can pick up and move to a different spot in order to attempt to become more successful.
That was an interesting discussion I heard about Kevin Durant. They were like, someone was like, does anyone think Kevin Durant talked to LeBron about this? And LeBron just said, hey, look, you know what? They're going to let it go eventually. Do what you got to do. Do what you think you got to do
Anyway, last one real quick. I had to get this one in. Best game of the year.
I think we're both in agreement.
The first choice is Villanova and North Carolina in the men's NCAA basketball championship. The second is the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers in the NFL divisional round of the playoffs. And lastly, the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA Finals of Game 7.
For me, Villanova, North Carolina, exclusively for the last minute.
And I think it has to be. I think
because come on, it takes a lot for literally 2 bench clearing events to happen in the span of about 15 seconds.
It was unbelievable, and I really as good as. Well, that's actually kind of the thing. I'm not really sure that the other 2 choices are as good as I thought they might be.
Yeah,
I think for as hyped as the finals were, I think Game 7 between the Cavaliers and the Warriors, as I don't think it is as exciting as it could have been. Granted, it was pretty back and forth. Kyrie Irving hitting the big 3-pointer, obviously, to eventually put the Cavaliers ahead. But the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers, I think we determined that was Aaron Rodgers' Hail Mary to send them, or was it to send them to the next round? Did they lose that game?
I think they lost it. I honestly don't remember that game at all. I'm just going with what you're saying.
And I think that kind of furthers the point. Maybe it just furthers my ignorance of NFL because it was a long time ago. But Villanova, North Carolina, for the national championship to be decided in that fashion, to get a buzzer beater for the national championship, to have all your entire season come down to one shot, it's pretty hard to top. I haven't seen that kind of excitement post game in a celebration in a long time watching any sport. And I think that for that reason, I think that the Villanova North Carolina game has to take the cake.
Agreed. So Tim Duncan, career over.
His career is over, and it's going to be quietly, as it's been for quite some time, as people have mentioned. I think I saw something that Greg Popovich will hold a press conference today And Tim Duncan will not be there. Tim Duncan will not be at a press conference
for his own
to officially announce his retirement.
You know what? Going out trolling. That's what I like to see.
Going out the way that he has carried himself.
Quiet to the point where you're not
career.
even 100% sure he ever existed.
That's right.
To the point where you gaslight yourself trying to figure out if he was a real person.
And it's interesting because I've heard a number of people say a top 10 NBA player of all time in Tim Duncan, which is an interesting conversation to have. We were looking at some of his stats earlier before the show. I think we determined 13 straight All-Star selections. Should have been 14, right? If it were not for the shortened lockout season of 1998-1999. Because the numbers he was putting up were just as good, if not better.
Pretty much identical to the previous year,
to his rookie year, which should also be mentioned as a rookie.
Yeah.
Being selected to the All-Star game. He finishes his career averaging 19 points and nearly 11 rebounds per game. But just as we mentioned, just a really great ambassador of the game.
Seems like a cool guy.
Did it quietly.
Well, I do think it is a testament to the difference between basketball and other sports where, like, if he had the same personality and did, whatever the equivalent would be in football, no one would question he's a top 10 player. But because basketball sort of, the legends of basketball are the likes of, like, Michael Jordan, who, like, stuck his tongue out, Kobe, who's very much a me first, a me kind of guy, like, and even LeBron calling himself the king. It's like, the NBA is not kind to the quiet, and he did it anyway, and got 5 rings for it, and 26,496 points.
In his career.
That's a lot of points.
It's pretty remarkable.
That's a Pencil Factory's amount of points.
And the most impressive stat that I saw.
That's Sonic the Hedgehog levels of points.
Yeah.
Because he has quills.
Oh, I see. That's
Hedgehog.
That's not. The two most impressive stats that I saw before we move on. The first being that he is 3rd overall in history in total wins in a single individual's career.
Radical.
With 1,001 career victories. And the other stat being that he has the highest winning percentage in the regular season out of any individual player in over a 19-year period in the NBA's history. Which is pretty hard to argue with. And discussing it with my dad, he said, now there maybe aren't as many names on that list as you think. Playing for 19 years at any professional level is difficult.
Absolutely.
But to have him have the highest winning percentage of anyone that's done it,
it's bananas.
It's pretty impressive.
BANANAS.
I think that we can all agree, though, that he was the all-time leader in using the banking board most efficiently.
Yes. Cool guy. Played hard, worked hard. Sort of the end of an era in terms of, like, the old school basketball team.
Right.
Like, built from the ground up. No, like, not too many big profile trades or signings. Just built a team, lasted, got some rings, beat LeBron twice. Yeah, who's going to get to say they beat LeBron James twice?
Yeah.
That's pretty darn cool.
Impressive career.
Congratulations. And unfortunately, we're not as positive about the other piece of news. Dwayne Wade is now a Chicago Bull.
He is.
You know what? Let me just say first.
You feel like you've got something to say.
All right. You know what? We people are critical about Kevin Durant. People have ranted and riled against Kevin Durant. People call him a traitor, a fraud, soft, all these things. But you know what? At least his move makes logical sense. Like, yes, I'm on a borderline championship team now, but this team is slightly better. You can see the cogs moving in his head. You can see why he would do this. You can understand if you don't like it. Dwayne Wade, as we've heard based on reports, his big sticking point for what team he'd play on is whether or not he could get $50 million. How much money do you possibly need, man?
Over 2 years.
Yeah, over 2 years. Like, you've been playing basketball. You were in the same draft LeBron James is. You've been playing as long as him. You've been making the same level, relatively the same level contracts he's been getting. You have Gatorade sponsorships. You have Nike. Like, and, we've had there have been no reports that he's, squandered his money or he's had bad management and needs this. So my understanding is he's living pretty comfortably. Why do you need... Why?
Yeah, and
this move makes no sense.
So that troubles me. That troubles me, and it troubled me pretty greatly when I first learned about the move, and I was probably as upset and maybe confused as you were. But my demeanor kind of changed. My demeanor changed because I learned that he had taken pay cuts before on the Miami Heat teams.
Yes.
In order to accommodate for the Big Three.
Fair.
And he felt that, for his loyalty, maybe the organization would give him the money that he thought that he deserved. I'm not saying that I agree with the amount. And the other thing is that I did not realize that Chicago's home to him. That's where he grew up, and that's his hometown. And so for him to go back,
well, that part is understandable.
For him to go back. And for him to make the money that he feels that he deserves, I guess it kind of fits. And so I'm a little less peeved than I was when I originally heard about it, because I felt pretty much the same as you, to leave your organization that you've had such a great relationship with for 12, 13 years, I think 13 years,
about,
for $7.5 million more in money. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. However, I've kind of changed my outlook a little bit.
You know what? I guess that I can concede a little bit.
Sounds like the relationship with the Heat wasn't as good over the last 2 years. They had been struggling with contract talks. And so, if that's the case, I have maybe more of an understanding of why he made the move. Although I still would have liked to see him finish it out in Miami.
Agreed. Before we move on, I just found something on Twitter that I thought was worth mentioning. There's a tweet called Evanescence, and someone named, in Pokemon Go, someone named their Ekans, which is the snake character, Evanescence, and the text to it is, snake me up inside, I can't snake me up inside, snake me. And then there's just a picture of it, all Photoshop blurry, like he's screaming. Thank you.
And see, Pokemon Go has become more than just a game, man.
It's the memes. Is it memes? Yes. Oh, and also, they just released what Kid Flash is going to look like on the hit CW show, The Flash. And this is pretty much comic accurate. I know it looks silly, but that's the point. Marvel. You don't have to make Daredevil look stupid. He can wear his actual costume. He doesn't need to wear something stupid. Thank you. That's all. You don't have to make Jessica Jones wear her costume. She's, it's a different tone. I get what you're going for.
So you wanted to talk about a movie that's been out for about a year now, you said.
Yeah.
I just saw it recently.
Finally saw Black Mask, or Mass. It was Johnny Depp's attempt to get back to, quote-unquote, serious film.
I do recall that.
But the funny thing is, everyone's like, oh, it's a serious role again. He's not doing any characters or, lambaste. But it's like...
Isn't his character like a crazy gangster?
Whitey Bulger. Famous, the FBI...
right, based on true story. Based on true story.
The FBI makes a deal with him that it's like, look, the Italian mob is sort of eking its way into Boston... He's he's Irish born, so he's like he's Boston's son. So it's like, listen, you know what? We are going to turn a blind eye if you help us clear out all of these other guys. Become an informant, figure out what all these other mobsters are doing, and help us just push them out. Although you find out in the end that he was a total fraud and didn't give them any information, but but people say oh, this is a serious performance again. He's still playing a cartoon character. He's not playing this like a human being. he's like brooding and stomping around, and he's always got this weird expression. Like, he's still playing a cartoon character, just a cartoon character based on a real life person.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I haven't seen enough Johnny Depp movies, but like I don't know why people have to keep validating his performances as some of these crazier characters, some of these more colorful characters. Because isn't it kind of more impressive to an extent?
After a while, when it's every single performance, after every single performance, not really. Like, you haven't seen Tusk, but his performance in that was honestly he plays some kind of French inspector who's all like, oh, and it was honestly the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, it was rock bottom at a point when his career didn't think it could get lower. Speaking of which, I will say, in the wake of the domestic abuse allegations against him, I will say every single scene with him and a woman is thoroughly unpleasant. Like, alarmingly so.
Really?
I mean, the scenes are creepy anyway, but when you add on top of the fact that he very may well be a real-life monster, I mean, obviously, these are all allegations at this point, but at the same time, based on what we've heard, it unfortunately looks pretty valid. Every single scene, I almost had to leave the room.
Oh, man, we didn't talk about Draymond Green getting arrested.
Well, because I didn't think I needed to say it, because too busy eating all the salt. Vindication. It's like butter.
Wow, that's kind of a bad connection. Crime for crime, but
it doesn't feel appropriate me going like when I'm talking about horrifying allegedly horrifying things Johnny Depp has done. But yeah, that made large chunks of the movie really unpleasant. But for the most part, it's a pretty good movie. A little bit episodic. Also, Benedict Cumberbatch, Jesus Christmas, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. His American accent is the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh no.
He did this weird, affect. I don't know how to. You have to just search up, see if you can find a clip, because I genuinely do not know if I can imitate it. And this is the first time I've genuinely been worried about Doctor Strange. Like, oh god, is he gonna sound like this for the whole movie?
But Benedict Cumberbatch is so good.
Not as an American.
I enjoy his acting.
Not as an American.
Yeah, well, maybe he just needs to be a British Doctor Strange.
Yeah, well, I think he's doing it American. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, so, pretty good movie. It's a reminder that films don't exist in a vacuum, like I said, in the wake of all of that, but it's alright. Yeah. Other news, Ghostbusters comes out this Friday. So Rotten Tomatoes, this has been... I think you're relatively aware of just I'll just say, nerd culture's reaction to this has been one of our lowest points in a time in history where we are continually hitting rock bottom. The trailer is the most downvoted video in the history of YouTube. Keep in mind, there is actual Nazi propaganda, Holocaust deniers, Holocaust apologists, racist videos, sexist videos, videos that are thinly veiled threats, just obnoxious videos, terrible singers, too many cat videos, SeaWorld videos, the Fine Brothers. All that stuff is on YouTube. People who just watch other people's YouTube videos and react to them without adding anything interesting to say. All of that exists on YouTube, and this is the most downvoted thing.
Wow.
And I understand that Ghostbusters is a really big movie, it's really popular, and I understand that this, for a lot of people, a lot of people hate reboot culture, but why were people not this upset when they remade RoboCop? Honestly, RoboCop's arguably a better film than the original Ghostbusters. Why didn't anyone get this upset when they... Well, actually, a lot of people got upset when they made the new Spider-Man, but not this upset. Nobody got this upset when they made Total Recall. And everyone's like, this is about our childhoods. And it's like, Ghostbusters wasn't originally intended for kids. They didn't add all that kinky sex stuff and all the raunchy humor for you. They added it for adults, and it just happened to be ended up being really popular with kids. To the point where they were desperate to make this a franchise. And I know it's upsetting that this means we'll never get that Ghostbusters 3, but we were never going to get that after Harold Ramis died, because that would have been disrespectful to his legacy. And on top of that, we already tried to make a Ghostbusters franchise with Ghostbusters 2, and it sucked. And I think ultimately...
Ghostbusters 2 did not go as well as people had hoped.
And ultimately, we just have to accept, look, they were going to remake Ghostbusters no matter what. Once Harold Ramis died and the idea of a third one became tasteless, they were going to remake it. The question is, did we want it going to the Seth Rogen Comedy Club? Did we want it going to the Adam Sandler Comedy Club? Or did we want it to go to the Paul Feig Comedy Club? And out of those three options, I will gladly take Paul Feig in an all-female cast, because at least that's vaguely interesting.
I was just going to say, I think that they've got some, Melissa McCarthy
is they're all very funny
actress. So for people to react this negatively towards it before even seeing it?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to get to. It has like a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty good. General consensus is it's really funny, characters are great, sets up a potentially great new franchise. Unfortunately, the plot is kind of because once you get to like the actual story, it's kind of like... But that's kind of true about I'd argue that's slightly true about the original movie, except because the second act gets a little meandering when you're just waiting for all the ghosts to come back.
Yeah.
But, then it really picks up at the end when, like, literally all hell's breaking loose. Unfortunately, it doesn't sound like that this film sticks that landing as well, but I'm still very excited. On IMDb, which is, like, a fan voting thing, 2.1. Keep in mind, the only countries where this film is out right now are the UK and Ireland. And are there that many people in the UK and Ireland that are that upset about this that they would downvote a movie on IMDb that much?
Do you think this is going to spawn kind of like a Jason Bourne type of scenario where they tried to make a Bourne movie without Matt Damon, and then they have since come back to make one with Matt Damon?
The funny thing is,
not like it's going to be an original. I'm not saying the original cast is going to come back, but are they going to
do
go
a
back
male
to all
Ghostbusters?
male
You want to laugh?
Ghostbusters?
They were working on that. They actually announced they were working on another Ghostbusters film with Channing Tatum, and allegedly the Russo brothers, who you will know from Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, and they'll direct Infinity War. They were originally all set to do it, and the project seems to have died now that the Russos are focusing on the Avengers films.
Huh.
So, yes, to answer your question,
do you think that
they were planning on doing it.
But do you think that there's a possibility that it could end up happening despite it being...
Depends the box office,
killed already.
To be honest, if this movie still ends up making a lot of money, they won't care, because they'll be like, hey, you know what? The market decided and people want female Ghostbusters, so that's that.
All right.
But if it doesn't perform as well as they're expecting, then they'll probably consider it, unfortunately. Just between the death threats and the, like, accusations of bribe reviews, it's like, guys, it's just a movie. You know what? A bunch of kids are going to watch this movie, and it's going to be really influential for them growing up, and I say that's okay. I'm hoping to see it soon. I might see it over the weekend with my girlfriend. I don't know. Maybe I'll see it with someone else. Who knows? I'm
gonna try to see it. That might be a good one to see.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I haven't considered it, but maybe I should consider going to see it.
And we can talk about it if we end up seeing it. Look. I mean, I feel like a part of it too is just people don't want to be wrong. All these people were like, this is going to be awful, this is going to be awful. And the idea that it might not be awful, it might just be alright, is a tough pill to swallow, especially after the behavior that's going on. Hey man, I lied to myself and said Amazing Spider-Man 2 might be alright for a while. And once I got over that, I was infinitely better off for it. Like, I lied to myself and said, hey, you know what? I completely lost my train of thought. I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe Mitt Romney actually has a chance to win the election, and he'll be an okay president. And you know what? Once I just got that out of my head, I felt infinitely better for it. I felt healthier, my hair grew back, we found my dog at the pound. Turns out he was okay. My cat didn't die. I could see better. I could see clearly now. The rain was gone. I made a really good thing of bacon mac and cheese. Like, just take a deep breath and step back. That's my 2 cents. That's my yippee-ki-yay. That's my 1-2 skidoo. And you know what? They're gonna remake Die Hard. Get angry about that. Get really angry about that. That's something to get angry over.
Oh boy.
That's something we should all get mad over.
Wow.
Okay. Do you have anything to...
Oh, one last thing. Major League Baseball All-Star Games tonight. Like we said, ESPY's on Wednesday. Depending on when this comes out, it might be too late, but Piece of Americana tonight, Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give it a watch.
All right.
Even if it's just for an inning or two. Because we may not want to watch the whole thing.
Probably not.
Because All-Star Games are starting to get a little tiresome.
Agreed. And is it still whoever wins gets home field advantage?
Did they stop that?
I hope they did. I
feel like that might have ended.
Okay,
we're going to have to do some post-show research and figure that one out.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for another great show. I'm Carter.
I'm Nick.
Have a lovely week.
Peace.
Rock and roll.